back as this is Gaming with Austin for Season 1, Episode 21 of the Utopian Community series. What we're gonna do is finish grooving the land so we could finish watering the land. That's what I was about to do, because I already grooved the land last episode. All I have to do is start watering. And eventually, I'd go towards tilling the land. So I could start building. Tilling the land so I could start planting more crops. As of right now, I only have beetroots and wheat, and that's about it. And I'm doing this passively, so I could see what it's like. With a bit of active watering too. And eventually, things would get better and better over time. Oops. I'm doing walking on the ground because I don't want to make any more. I'm trying to minimize my mistakes. Oops. Much better. Because I'm trying to minimize those mistakes right there. Because, you know, trying to keep things precise is pretty important. And eventually, I'd go towards planting different, more than just carrots and taters. I'm also going to be planting pumpkins and watermelons too. Not just pumpkins. And eventually, oops. You shouldn't just go for two types of crops. Go for more than just that. Because that's how to make self-sustainable community, is around the world. We need plenty of water. Because, you know, the more plants there are, the more water you're gonna need. And water is important for all life on Earth. Not just plants, but also animals too. Because, you know, if you're dehydrated, it'll be hard for every biological function without water. You need water to survive. Same with food. Just like your body needs food to survive as well. Which are both important. Because, you know, sustenance. Your body simply cannot recycle its own nutrients. Because we are not plants. We are animals. Because, you know, with eventually several 100 million years from now, eukaryotic life will die out because of CO2 starvation, which is bad for both plants and animals. Because without CO2, there'd be nothing plants can use to convert to oxygen. Which means animals will end up dying out too. Photosynthesis is required for CO2, for oxygen. This is how we might end up colonizing the Red Planet. Because, you know, the Red Planet, which is Mars, might end up becoming our new home sometime in the future. If we keep screwing with our planet. Mars might be our only hope, eventually. Because, one, we can stay there for much longer than we would on Earth as the sun gets brighter and brighter over the course of hundreds of millions of years. Which is part of the stellar lifespan. Because, you know, sun-like stars, they last for around 10 billion years. During the middle of the star's lifespan, like, because, you know, the sun, but red dwarfs, they last even longer, to even trillions of years, because they're not as massive. Because, you know, stars like Betelgeuse, eventually it's gonna go supernova within like the next million years. It'll be visible to the naked eye. That's how bright it will be. Let's hope the supernova does not aim for us. Like, the gamma rays don't aim for us. Because that would suck. Pretty bad. It threatens humanity. Not only that, but also all life on Earth. Just like what happened in the Ordovician extinction event, where there was a gamma ray burst. Back to the game. With the farm, we may end up having to build farms like these when we colonize other planets. Like Mars, Jupiter's moons, Saturn's moons, Uranus's moons. Just to name a few. Farms like this would probably end up happening when there are domed cities on Mars. Like, probably 500 years from now, based on Stephen Hawking's estimate, even though he's already dead. Which is sad for the science community. He was a pretty smart guy. He knew how to treat his own medical condition. Without the help of doctors, he was able to surpass the prognosis. With the help of the technologies he himself created. And if it wasn't for those technologies, he would have died a long time ago. Like, decades ago. That wouldn't be fun for the scientists. Because he was a pretty smart guy for his time. He was still alive. Basically, he gave us an insight on how to treat ALS. Basically. He gave us an insight on how to treat ALS. Also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It got its name Lou Gehrig's disease from one of the most famous patients with ALS, Lou Gehrig. He was a famous baseball player in the early 20th century, early to mid 20th century, before he ended up succumbing to ALS. Some people, there are famous people with ALS today, like Steven Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob. And also, some athletes too, maybe. ALS has a survival rate of about... The average survival time period is around 2 years. It'll be even longer... It was probably a bit shorter. It was probably that before Stephen Hawking. When Stephen Hawking was diagnosed, he was smart enough to create a device that could help him live even longer. That could be hope for future ALS patients. His treatment could be hope for future ALS patients. At least Hillenburg's ALS is in the early stages. Because if it was in the late stages like Stephen Hawking, he would be in a wheelchair. It'll be pretty hard. Back to space. Like, when we go colonize other planets, there are some things we need to take into serious consideration. One of those things we need to take into some consideration is the age of the star. The type of star. K-class stars would do pretty good. O-class stars are not a good idea. Because almost, they never make it 3 billion years without going supernova. That's the problem with O-class stars. With G and F-class stars, they're both yellow and white main sequence stars. A-class stars are basically blue main sequence stars like Sirius A. Sirius B is the corpse of a sun-like star. Sirius A and B, they orbit each other. It's the brightest star in the night sky. Under its name Alpha Canis Majoris. Because, you know, the Canis Major constellation is also known for one of the largest stars out there. VY Canis Majoris, which is set to explode 100,000 years from now. None of us that are alive today would live to see that explosion. Because the natural lifespan of a human being is around 80 to 90 years old. Possibly 100 years old in the future. Because back in the old days, the average lifespan was shorter because of higher child mortality rates. Which probably explains why Angola has one of the shortest average lifespans out there. High child mortality rate over there. Brought on by corrupt governments greedy businessmen, which are both a big problem in society today. With Jeff Bezos, what he does, he basically sits on his ass while his workers bust their asses off making close to minimum wage. We need to fix our systems. Bernie Sanders would agree with me on that one. Plus, the working conditions in Amazon are horrendous. I'd rather work in a small warehouse instead. That'd be better. Working conditions in a small warehouse are even better. Which is great. But in the Industrial Revolution, children bust their asses for almost nothing. Basically. That's just unfair. Why the hell would they do that to children? I'd rather go out and fix computers myself. In which my boss is the people. In which my boss is actually the people around me. Instead of having a boss, my boss would be the people. Basically, it's like democracy, if you're self-employed. The people, even yourself, is the boss too. Plus, you know, unlike McDonald's, Chick-fil-A has its own self-run restaurants. The wages depend on the restaurant, not the CEOs. Good thing the CEOs of Chick-fil-A are not as greedy as that of McDonald's, which is good. Try not to abuse greed. Because get too greedy, your workers are gonna get pretty pissed. What we need is a wage limit for the CEOs. Like, that would mean CEOs would notice a big cut in their salary. Some of them are gonna get pretty pissed, some of them would be pretty happy. But most of the people that would be happy would be the workers themselves. Because, you know, most of the impoverished people in America are the working class. That bust their asses. Just to make ends meet. Yes, they bust their asses just to make ends meet, only to bring home a very small paycheck. That is unfair. A minimum wage job? A child and an adult has the same job with the same amount of experience in the Industrial Revolution. The child would probably get paid less than the adult, because, you know, children are cheaper than adults in the Industrial Revolution. Good thing labor laws prevent child labor now. If it wasn't for labor laws, more children would be enslaved and forced into work. That is not fun for the child. Because there are some horrifying photos of what children end up having in the workforce during the Industrial Revolution. If no job wants to hire me after my time in voc rehab, I might as well become a farmer. Or maybe move to Canada. To work, probably work with Linus Tech Tips. Linus Sebastian is one of the most famous tech YouTubers out there. Just like Bitwit. There are some gaming YouTubers out there who use the help of Linus to build their computers. To get the need for their computer. Because, you know, you're going... For the gaming computers, you should only go for what you need. For the best results. Who needs two GTX 1080s in SLI? The only people that need that are those... the graphic designers and game developers. Because they're doing GPU... because game development is GPU intensive. It's pretty intensive, yes. The only people that need two GTX 1080s in SLI are the game developers. Not the average gamer. Because, you know... Plus, if you put two graphics cards in SLI, they're going to chug more power than just one. If you want to do gaming while trying to lower your electric bill, try to go for a GTX 1050 or 1050 Ti, or maybe a GT 1030. If you're trying to keep the price low. Because, you know, with the GT 1030, it's like the GTX 750, except more efficient. It has lower power consumption compared to this 750. Not the 750 Ti, but the 750. Because, you know, with the 750, there's like... it consumes about 75 watts of power like the GTX 1050. And eventually, we're probably... over the course of the next couple days, we're probably going to end up seeing more rumors about the RTX 2080. Which would be a pretty powerful graphics card. Even more powerful than the Titan XP, probably. I say probably because there's a small chance it might be less powerful. Because, you know, the GTX 1080 is already powerful than the GTX Titan X Maxwell. Oops. Back to tilling the land. Anyways. With Android Pie, I wonder what would be like... I wonder if they might do an update for Pi Day. Maybe. Just making a joke about Pi Day. Sometimes I tend to make jokes about certain holidays like that, too. It's just like Kim Jong-un being the real-life Grinch. Literally. Because, you know, he stole Christmas and instead made people celebrate the birth of Kim Jong-un's grandmother. He's a real-life Grinch. I'd never steal Christmas from people. Because they deserve to go into the holiday spirit. Go Christmas shopping on Black Friday, fight over a $5 toaster. Stuff like that. Yes, sometimes stuff like that happens. The best way to avoid the violence on Black Friday shopping is to do it online. It's that easy. Do it online. So you could avoid the fighting. Because the violence is just bad. That is just bad. We don't want violence in our society. No. In Black Friday shopping back in the 80s and 1980s and 90s, there wasn't as much violence as there is today. Because, you know, now on Black Friday shopping, we're gonna end up seeing people fight over a $5 smartphone. In cold blood. Literally. If I was to go Black Friday, Friday shopping, the safest place to do it is online. But, you know, internet traffic would get pretty bad. There'd be a lot of internet traffic going on. On Black Friday shopping online. Yet there's also something called Cyber Monday, too. Where you do your Christmas shopping online. Without the hassle. I'd rather order stuff off the internet than go to the store. And buy it directly. Because, one, it's more efficient. Energy is conserved when you do that. Because, you know, our goal is to try to be as efficient as possible. As efficient as we can. Because, you know, efficiency is the most important aspect of our life. But we'll never reach 100% efficiency ever. No matter how hard we try. Because of something called the laws of thermodynamics. A 100% efficient machine would probably violate the second and third law of thermodynamics. Because, you know, the free energy machine is not possible because of the first law of thermodynamics. And the second and third laws of thermodynamics. Literally makes it impossible to make a free energy machine. Which is why perpetual motion machines are bullshit. Because of the laws of thermodynamics set up by Isaac Newton. The laws of thermodynamics prevents us from getting infinite energy to travel at the speed of light too. Because a ship traveling at exactly the speed of light, it's gonna get pretty hot outside the ship. Because it's gonna use a lot of energy. Traveling at 90% the speed of light requires more than twice the amount of energy as traveling at 50% the speed of light. It all has to go down to one thing. The laws of as you get closer to the speed of light, the more energy that is, the higher your energy expenditure you're gonna need. Which is why faster than light travel using antimatter rockets is not possible. Because, you know, the energy expenditure needed to travel at the speed of light is huge. Which is why nothing can ever travel faster than the speed of light. Unless it can warp space-time. Because if you warp space-time, you basically are creating a bubble of space-time around you. Which is space-time outside your ship is warped. Well, inside the ship, everything's fine. Well, outside the ship is warped. And NASA's working on that right now. They're doing more, slowly add more and more research to it. With the help of M drives. This concludes our video for today. Don't forget to leave a like if you liked this video, dislike if you disliked it, subs if you loved it, bell icon to be notified. Share this with your friends to help my channel grow. Thank you for watching, and as always, peace.